Very welcome back. Very happy to say Eric Donovan is with us on the line. Good evening.
Good evening, Joe. How are you keeping?
Yeah, great. Hey, congratulations. EU featherweight champion as of the weekend. Between the Ramirez fight and the Zelfa Barrett fight, we've done too many post-fight reviews of just coming out the wrong side. Very nice to talk about a win.
It is. It's lovely. We did too many post-fight post-mortems. They were pretty dire as well. And they were very hard as well, doing those interviews, because, I was flat. I had to kind of pick myself up off the ground to try and even give those interviews. It was always at a raw time, very, very quickly after both fights. But you know what? Kept dusting myself off. I just kept rising on a daily basis and just tried my best to get on with it, and hopefully hoping that the tide would eventually turn. And it did. And here we are talking about a positive result, thank God.
Yes, we sure are. So if anybody missed this fight was at the Europa Hotel in Belfast Saturday night against Khalil El Hadri, and the three judges scored the contest in your favour, obviously. 115 to 113, 114 to 113, 115 to 112. Your first time going 12 rounds as a pro, and if anybody hasn't seen the 10th round in particular and they want a flavour of this fight, that's the round to have a watch. Your face reflects somebody who went through 12 rounds, and I mentioned the 10th round where punches were thrown. That eye of yours is fairly bashed up.
Yeah, the funny thing is, even though I do know, I took a lot of punches as well in the fight, he was a big puncher. He was heavy-handed, to be fair. But the cut and the eye socket kind of happened with one quick flash of the heads. There was 2 minutes and 8 seconds left in round 6. I noticed because I checked it back, because I was saying to Packy afterwards, I said, Packy, there was a head clash there or something. That's what done the cut, wasn't it? Packy goes, no, it was a good punch. It was a good punch. I have to check it back, because you know the feeling as a fighter. You know when a head hits you. You know when the difference between the glove and the head. And so I looked it back, and about 3 or 4 seconds before that, he did catch me with a big punch, a right-hand punch, but it was on this side, and this side of the face, the other side of the face. And then, as I said, 2 or 3 seconds later, we kind of come together really quick. His head, it just happened so quickly, and his head kind of hits me right in the socket, and obviously the top of the eye, and I come off the worst. The blood starts trickling into my eye then, and then the swelling starts coming up immediately as well. So, to be fair, we had a good cut man in the corner, and he did a great job on it, because the task was difficult enough without having blood now trickling into my eye. That's always really, really, really difficult to deal with. But he did a great job. He stemmed the flow of blood and allowed me to get back boxing without any distraction. But what a fight. Incredible fight. Wow. Something else.
Is that the most exciting, wild, eventful fight you've been part of?
Look, 30 years after walking into a boxing club, I had my greatest night in a boxing ring. Justification for me. All this turning professional at 31 years of age, a month before my 31st birthday. Some people said, what's he doing? I was 3 years in retirement as well. People wrap it up at 31. Some people are wrapped up long before 31, professional careers. And, I had to deal with a lot of that. I also had to deal with the setbacks and the losses, the big losses, huge losses, spectacular losses when you think about it. The Zelfa Barrett and Ramirez, but yeah. Someone said, if you want to achieve big, you have to be prepared to fall high, and there was times where I fell from a great height, because I dared I dared for high altitude success, and I got my Everest, so I'm very happy.
The 10th round, which I mentioned a few times now, where both of you just unleash on each other. Do you know going out into that round it's going to take that shape, or how does it happen, and what's going through your mind when you're in the midst of minutes like that?
No, Packy always said, you will notice, it's 2 years now working with Packy as well, and it takes time. It takes time, and especially it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, Some people may even say that you can't, but well, I've been so conditioned as an amateur for so long, and we've talked about this show from time to time, how we analyze fights and, you know, how amateurish I can be, sometimes up very light on my toes, and I can look like I'm being knocked around the ring, but that's just all, a lot of that looks, you know, is balance. You know, I'm not the most sturdy in the ring. I'm not the most kind of solid kind of a unit in the ring. I'm very light on my toes. That comes back to my amateur days. The heels are very high. But Pacquiao did say to me, you know, let's navigate through these earlier rounds. High defense. You look, my defense was brilliant. For 12 rounds, I had my hands up really high. My chin low as well. That was another very important thing. And once we started getting into the second half of the fight, then Pacquiao said to me, Eric, you know, you can start pushing this guy back. He doesn't like it, you know. And I just started to try and edge a little bit forward. I didn't want to completely go too much, put myself into the line of danger either, because he was very heavy-handed. But I started just answering him back, you know. He started catching me with some big punches, and I just kept answering back. And I think round 10 broke his heart, because he'd nothing in 11 or 12. He'd literally nothing. And he'd done nothing either. So round 10, he started off with the first minute of round 10. He threw absolutely everything at me. And I'm telling you, I had to go to a very dark place there, like, you know. And there was times where it may only felt like a few seconds to people, but for me, it felt like a very long time. And it even dawned on me at one stage that, Jesus, I hope the towel doesn't come in, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's how much, like, I was under the cosh, you know? But I just kept working away, plugging away, and just hoped that the tide would turn. And it did. And I started throwing back, you know? I just said, come on, let's answer here. Let's kind of stand up, you know? Fight fire with fire. And I just started throwing back, and I could see a little wilt in him, you know, and I could see I hurt him in round 10 as well. And, you know, he started to kind of retreat a little bit and took a backward step. And I just knew I broke his heart there, I think, because he hit me with absolutely everything. And I was going nowhere. I kept coming back and answering. And that just gave me the lift and the motivation. And then the crowd, oh my God, the crowd were just incredible. Everybody, I knew everybody there, you know, and I have great relationships with everybody there, and including my personal relationships with my wife, my kids, my family. I could see everybody. I nearly saw all the faces of people that meant so much to me, and they just helped me to get through it and fight it out.
When you say there in 10, you have to go to a dark place, most of us will never experience that. So is it that you're so tired that you feel like you can't keep going? Is it that you're so hurt that you're dazed and you don't even know where you are or where he is, and there's punches coming and you can't even see them? Take us a bit more into that. What is that dark place like?
Yeah, it's a really, really dark place, in the sense that, like, you know that within the space of probably a second or two, your lights could be put out, or you hope and you hold on to that kind of, you actually hope to, in a second or two, that you might get out of the woods, like you might actually get out of darkness and into the light. And that's the way it is. And like, there was times in that 10th round where he shook me, like, you know, and my head was buzzed, and then he caught me with a body shot as well, and really sickened me. So it was kind of like, oh my God, you can go from a place of self-pity, and you can wallow, and you can just throw in the towel maybe, or you can just try and hope that the tide might turn, you know. And that's what I tried to do. I just tried to say, right, I understand that this is, now I'm giving this to you this way, but this is all happening in a very instinctive fashion. You know, you don't have time to dwell on it, like, or think about it or analyze it in that kind of slow motion pace. But these are kind of images and thoughts that would be flying through your mind. Like, I went from, oh my God, is the towel going to come in, to, oh my God, I have him. You know,
yeah.
It's that, and that's all happens in the space of 2 or 3 seconds. Like, I'm going, like, from, oh my God, this could be over, to, oh my God, I have him. He's taking a backward step, you know.
Would you have been unhappy if the towel had been thrown in?
Oh, I would have been, yeah, I would have been absolutely devastated, because I just knew I had it in the bank. I knew that all of my life experiences, all the near misses, all the setbacks, and all of the losses even, I knew that they were all there. And all of the heartbreak and misfortune that I've had throughout my life, I knew that I could draw and all of that, and I knew that the preparation was there. And once I got to round 10, you could actually see that there was a new, almost revived energy. You know, I just bounced around him around 11. And I've never went past 8 rounds before. Like 8 rounds is the furthest I've ever fought, you know. So I went 12 whole minutes past that, like against a really dangerous puncher. And I just wouldn't give up. I just refused to give up, you know. And even getting to the end of the fight was just in itself a relief, you know.
I'm sure.
Wow. 36 minutes of boxing.
And then just the ecstasy of the decision and surrounded by everybody that you know. Did that live up to what you hoped it would be?
Yeah, I think the man reading out the MC kind of made a bit of a hames of it, like, you know, because when he read out Donovan first, I thought, okay, right, so he read Donovan, now he's going to read Al Hadri, and it's going to be a split decision. But then he read Donovan again, and then he read Donovan again. So he kind of went a bit of a long way around it, deducing it. But I knew once he said Donovan the second time, I kind of fell to my knees. I said, that has to be me. It has to be me, you know. But then I was like, did he make a mistake? Then you know, so yeah, I suppose even that then at the end was a bit dramatic too. It was all nerve-wracking. The whole thing was nerve-wracking.
I can imagine. Does that feel to you like a perfect send-off and what a way to go? Or where's your head on that front?
Well, I actually don't really know, because like I'm sure my head's going to change and on it probably over the next few days and weeks, and then when the little baby comes along, we have a baby incoming as well. So you know, that'll probably again change my priorities and my even my thoughts and ideas, plans for the future. But like I said, I've always wanted to win a continental title, and here I am over 6 years after turning professional. A long road, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of tough experiences, and I've got there, you know. And many people in life don't actually get to fulfill their dreams, and which is, you know, it's quite sad. But I managed to do mine as a boxer, you know, and so I'm content now. I'm very happy. Do I want to go again? I don't know, you know. Like, there is that possibility of maybe fighting again without the pressure of I have to win this or whatever, and give people maybe a homecoming or whatever. There's all these possibilities that I can explore. I'm kind of just browsing over them there now in this kind of conversation, but I'm going to have to think about it and going to explore them in a more deeper sense. But right now, I've decided to park them for a while.
No, it's
my wife the time now, because she's given me so much time over the last 3 months. And I want to give back to her and welcome the baby into the world.
Yeah, you'll be busy in the short term for sure. And when you do think about these things, because I suspect for much of the last 6-7 years since you turned pro, it was the predominant thought was a drive to do something at this level and to make amends for where you feel you could have done more as an amateur and it didn't happen for you. And I guess that was the overarching thought. So I wonder now, where does your own safety come into your thinking as you get older and with children and all of those considerations? I dare say you didn't think about your safety all that much over the last 6-7 years.
No, to be fair, I did. And the last fight against Ramirez, I kind of felt like, even though the Zelfa Barrett fight was I probably took more, even though it wasn't a prolonged period of shipping punches against Barrett. Round 7 and round 8, I did take a fair few off him. But because I was so good in that fight, and because I was outboxing him and schooling him, people were okay about that. They just said, you kind of got caught, it's okay. But against Ramirez, Ramirez only really caught me with one clean swoop. It was a punch that kind of scrambled my senses. It was just behind the ear, lower back of the neck there. It kind of scrambled my senses. But I could tell then the way people were talking to me, especially family and close friends, and I was getting the impression from them that there was a bit of concern, you know, that they're really kind of concerned for my well-being and welfare and that kind of stuff. And I never really had that conversation with them before, you know. And even my wife, you know, the way she kind of spoke to me and the way, like, was very much different than the conversations we had after the Zelfa Barrett fight. So, no, we're aware of these. Like, I'm very much aware as well. I'm a realist, like, you know, and I'll be open and honest as well, almost to a default at times. But I'll always be straight up and honest. And look, I mean, they're only the fights. And behind the fights, there's training camps for 10, 11, 12 weeks. And that's where a lot of strenuous, physical, demanding, kind of taxing work goes on, you know? That's where a lot goes on, Joe. And there is tough. So people talk about Ironmans and marathons taking a bit of time off your life. Every time you go into a 10 to 12 week training camp for boxing, I think that takes something from you every time.
Yeah,
I'd well believe it. Of the health benefits and the health, and all of that. And these are all areas that will be discussed at length when I'm thinking about my next move with my wife and with my manager and my family.
Well, look, sorry, I'm not trying to talk into anything, by the way. I was just curious because it was such an epic, I mean, it does have that swan song quality. You could probably contentedly ride off into the sunset off the back of a performance like that. On a happier thought, and in the short term, I know 3 o'clock Saturday, Athy, Emily Square Athy, there's a bit of a homecoming for the boy done good, so I guess the plan is to enjoy the next couple of days.
Yeah, well it is, and I'm hoping to get to the homecoming in Athy. Once Laura is good and she's in good shape, and the baby decides to hold off, and just once the baby decides to come on its due date or a little bit after, we'll be okay. But it's lovely. It's lovely to have these moments and to acknowledge them, and just it's great. Like Athy is a town where I've earned my stripes, in the boxing club there, and I represented that town, the club, for years and years. And I won an awful lot as an amateur, but like as you said there, there was times where I just kind of I felt like I left a lot behind me, and had a lot of regrets and a lot of shortcomings in the way. But the whole kind of the whole second chance career, the professional chapter of my life was about making amends and righting a few wrongs. I feel like I've done that, and it's going to be lovely to go home and to Athy and celebrate with all those people, and to prove that, hey guys, you know what, we can do. We are strong, much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. We're much stronger than we think, and we should chase our dreams, and don't be afraid of the failure, because that's in the failure is where we learn truly about who we are and what we are and what we're made of. Like the fight, Michael Conlon made a great analogy. He said it was like my life. It's up and down. I had good points, I had low points, and it was, it very much was. But again, just going back to the fight, it is like life in terms of like people who may be struggling with mental health, emotional health, when they feel like there is no way out, when they feel like when they're in despair and when they're at the end of their tether, never underestimate the power of holding on for another minute or 2 minutes or a good night's sleep or a good conversation or tomorrow's a new day. You can't stop the world from turning. And that was the thing. Just hung in there and it kept turning. The tide kept turning. And that's what we should always remember, that no matter what we're going through, no matter how deep and dark the adversity, it will pass. It will pass.
Well, listen, champ, everybody here is thrilled for you. We've been talking to you for a long time now. So big congratulations, and enjoy the new arrival, and we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. So thanks so much.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Thanks.
Cheers.